and fine. Students, in our previous lecture we have completed the half part of this chapter 8. So in our today's lecture, students, we are going to start the latter half portion of this chapter, right? It is the chapter about the challenges that is faced by the India, and here in this chapter we have already seen that the solutions of the challenges, right? So again we are left with the latter half part of this chapter. So students, don't waste our time and let's start the latter half part of this chapter. Before I start, students, I want to give some information about the online lectures. That is, please students, pay your 100% attention to the online lectures because it is mandatory to attend all the lectures. Okay students? And please students, it is the video, right? We are making for you. So if we are giving our 100% to you, then it is responsibility to give 100% attention to the online lectures. Okay, so now let us start, students. Before I start, I want to give the summary of this chapter, whatever we have done in our previous lecture. So students, in our previous lecture we have seen that the many classifications of the challenges, right, that is faced by the India. So there are the 4 classification of the challenges that are faced by the India. So first classification of that challenges, it is the internal problems, second is the regional problem, third is the border problems, and fourth is the natural problem. So in the internal problems, students, we have seen that the overpopulation, literacy, inflation, poverty, unemployment, corruption, terrorism, communalism, it is in the internal problems. Internals means in the India we have seen that many problems that is not in the external phases, right? We are facing the internal problems a lot, right? And due to the internal problems, we are in the developing countries list, because still now we are not in the developed country list, right? Still we are in the developing country list, right? So the reason behind it, it is only the internal problems of the India. Next we have the regional problems, that is the discrimination based on the languages and the regionalism. Still now students, we have seen that many discrimination like the Hindu and Muslim, like so it is in our India. So due to this all reasons, we are in the developing country. Next we have the border problems. Here students, we don't have any border problems. In next year or in our next, means the 9th standard, you have seen you will learn about the border problems. Next students, we have the natural problems. In the natural problems, students, we have the flood, famines, earthquake, tsunami, volcanic eruptions and cyclones. Students, we all know about the natural problems because it is already in our segment book, that is the chapter number 5. Okay, you are all aware with that what is the natural problems, that is not in the hands of the humans. Okay, so it's called the natural problems. So we can only take the judgment about the natural problems, but we are not able to stop the natural problems, right? Okay, this means what happens, students, we only focus the natural problems, like that if flood will come into the India, that time we have to only take precautions about that, we can't stop that. Okay, next students, in depth we have seen the overpopulation, literacy, inflation and poverty. So now in today's lecture, students, we start with the corruption part. Okay, so now let's say students, what is the corruption? Okay, corruption is a simple term, means lack of integrity or honesty. Means here what is the corruption? If the person is without the honesty, it's called the corrupted person. Means use of the positions of a trust for the dishonest gain. Means for the profit of the, means for the selfishness, if the person lost his honesty, it's called the corruption. It means dishonest behavior by those in the position of power, such as the managers and government officials. Means what happens, students, if one person can dishonest with that behavior in that position along with that power, is called the corruption. Next, corruption can include the giving or accepting the bribes and the inappropriate gifts, and the double dealing, under the tables, transactions, and the manipulating the elections. Manipulating election means double counted election, it's called the manipulating election. Diverting funds, laundering the money, and the defrauding the investor. Corruption has become the major issue that the hinders the development of our nation. Means corruption is one of the major problems that hinders means that stops the development of the country, right? So hinder means to stop the development of the country. So we have seen the reasons of the corruption. Means in the corruption we have that the double dealing, under the table transactions, manipulating the elections, diverting the funds. It's all in the corruption part. So now next we have the effects of the corruption. Now students, what effects are coming from the corruption part? We have seen that students that corruption is the major problem, like that corruption leads to the following ill effects on the society, like the violation of human rights. If the corruption happens, that what happens? The rights of the humans is being corrupted. Next, hindrance to the development of the nation due to the corruption. Just I told before, due to the corruption, what happens? The development of the country is on the stake. Deteriorations of the moral value. Deterioration means moral values. Means if person is not able to trust on the other person, it is the deteriorations of the moral values. Inflation, lack of the trust in law, encouragement of the nepotism. Encouragement to the nepotism means what, students? Nepotism means bad work for the nation. It's called in the simple terms, what is the bad work of towards the nation? It's called the nepotism. Next we have the slow human development and the breach of faith. Means what happens, students? Due to the corruption, the development of the human being is also on the stake. Next, what the measures we have to take for that? Means what the solution for the stopping of the corruption? In the measures we have, students, government has framed a certain law since 1988 to reduce and prevent the corruption. Means just we have seen, students, due to the corruption we have many problems in our country, right? So for the solution part of that corruption things, we have seen that, students, government made the law since 1988 to reduce this all corruption in India. So anti-corruption bureau has been formed. For that bureau is also formed in India 1964. It helps people in the checking and controlling corruptions, and this bureau works for the checking and controlling the corruption. Okay. Next, we have the one message that accepting and offering the bribe both are a crime. Means if we accept the corruption, it is also the one part of the crime. Means if we are not doing the corruption, right, it's okay. But if we are accepting the corruption part, it is one of the greatest crime in India, right? Next, students, we have the unemployment. Students, you all know what is the unemployment, right? Unemployment is the berozgari. Berozgari means the person is without any work. It's called the unemployment. There are many reasons behind the unemployment. So in this chapter we are going to see the reasons behind the unemployment. Means, students, what happened? You are aware with the unemployment, but you are not aware with the reasons behind of the unemployment. Okay. So let's see what's the reason of that. So first we have the introduction part, that introduction of the technology in the modern times has added to the burning problems of the unemployment. Means what happens, students? Now in a current days, what happens, students? Technology are being in the developing, right? So what if technology is going to develop day by day, right? So what happened? The oldest means the orthodox people, means the our grandparents, our grandmother, our grandfather, our parents are also not aware with the technology development, right? So for the reason of that lack of awareness, they are become the unemployed person. For example, the use of the computer has made the work faster and more accurate. We know, students, due to the computer technology, we are very able to do our work very fastly, right? But what happened? Machines have replaced the man, and due to the machineries, what happens, students? All the works of the man is doing by the machines nowadays, right? So there are also the chance of the unemployment due to the machineries. Next, it has resulted in the unemployment. Mechanizations of the agriculture has left many agricultural laborers unemployed, and the mechanizations of agriculture means development of the agricultural tools also the one of the greatest reason behind the unemployment. Next, such a laborers facing a tough time to earn their living, so migrate to the cities. So in that time, what happens, students? They are migrating Education has increased and expanded its horizons, but the employment opportunities have not increased at an equal rate, so that the unemployment has increased. What happens, students? Our education policy make our education faster and faster, but the lack of opportunity is still on the step, right? So that's why the education policy means the education level and the unemployment level doesn't work with the parallel level. Okay. Next, the density of the population of the cities has increased, and as a result, the challenge of the water, shelter, transport and health, hygiene and education have grown out of the portion. And what happens, students, if our population has increased day by day, that time we are not able to fulfill the all needs of the, means all basic needs of the humans, right? Means we are not able to fulfill every demand of the population, right? Because the population is going day by day up, right? But the needs is going to down day by day because of the unemployment things, right? Next, students, the antisocial activities, child labor, drug addictions and use of alcohol, mental stress, right? And due to the increase of the unemployment, what happens, students? The activities like the child labor, drug addictions, use of alcohol, it's happen due to the unemployment. Next, because of the mental stress, right? If the person has a mental stress, then for the reducing the mental stress, what happens, students? They are doing this type of activity. Next, a person who is above the 18 years of the age and is willing to and capable to work and does not get a job, it's called an unemployed person. Now we have the definition, students. You have to remember the definition of unemployment because it is very important in your 10th standard, students. Also, you have the classification of the unemployment. Means just now we will see about the just reasons behind of the unemployment, but in the 10th standard, students, you will learn about the more classification of the unemployment, right? So for this, students, you have to prepare now. Just again I repeat the definition of the unemployment. That is a person who is above 18 years, means a person, the age of the person is 18 years above, right? And is willing means, willing का मतलब क्या होता है? उसकी इच्छा है, right? Want to work, is willing and capable means capable. If I am capable, if I am graduate, then I am able to work over there, right? So it is the capability of the person. So if the person is above the 18 years and willing and capable to work and does not get the work, means उसकी इच्छा है वर्क करने की, वो able है वर्क करने के लिए, then also उसको वर्क नहीं मिल रहा है, it is called the unemployment, right, students? Again I repeat that a person who is above the 18 years and willing and capable to work but doesn't get the work, it's called the unemployment. So for that, students, we have the solutions. That let's see what is the solution of that problem. For the solution of this problem, many voluntary organizations and the government have developed the plans and policies as follows. Means for solution of these problems, many voluntary workers have developed the policy for that. Which policy? Shelter for the economical backwards, means for the poor public, they develop the shelters, free education, pure drinking water, cleanliness, mobile medical services, encouragement to the cottage industry. Cottage means the small level industries, right? Handicraft industries with the simplified loan facilities. Next, we have the by providing the nutrition food. Provide nutrition foods means the basic foods for the survival. It's called the nutrition food, right? Which is the primary need. The government is trying to improve the situation in the slum areas. Slum areas means the poor levels areas, right? In the slum areas, government try to fulfill all the demands, all the basic demands of that public or the peoples. Okay. Next, students, we have the terrorism. Now, what is the terrorism, students? Here, you all know in India we have the terrorism problem, right? So let's see, students, what is the terrorism? It is a new word. Means you are aware with the words only, but you are not aware with the depth meaning of that word. Okay. So now in this chapter we are going to understand the depth meaning of the terrorism. So first, in the terrorism is a global problem. It's not a national problem. It's a global problem. Terrorism activities are an obstacle in the progress of a nation. Means it is the obstacle. Obstacle means it is the major problem. Obstacle means the major problem of the development of the country. It is in the evil efforts to disturb the peace, brotherhood, and unity of a nation. Means it is the evil effort. Means due to use of the terrorism, it is for the disturbing the brotherhood, it is for the disturbing the unity of the nation, right? Means due to the terrorism, what happens, students? The unity of the nation is being terrorist person. So in the terrorism inflicts the fear in the people through the violence and the hatred, and due to the terrorism what happens, students, it creates the fear in the public. And the goal of the terrorism is never scared and pure and good, and the goal of the terrorism is never good for us, right? It is always bad for us, and it always make the harm effect of the nation. Next we have the terrorism is an inhuman act carried out by the certain group of people, and it is carried by the certain group of people, like the Pakistani, right? It is the Pakistani, it is over for the terrorism, right? So in India what they do, they disturb our whole economy and the nation, right? And it result by the bullying, killing or torturing somebody. And in the terrorism what happens, student? Bullying and killing and torturing somebody. It is the activity of the terrorism. It is the bad activities of the terrorism, right? Terrorism never goes for the good things of the nation. They are always planned for the bad things of the nation. Always they are trying to they are always trying to break our economy and the nation and the unity of the nation. Okay. Next we have the terrorism is a challenge for the any government. Terrorism is a challenge, right? If the Pakistani came in our India, right? You all are students. Before the past years, means the decades ago, what happens? Terrorism. A Pakistani came to India, and what happens, students? Our whole nations under the fear situation, right? We all know there was many battles that happened in our past things, right? Terrorism is an easy way to display power forcefully. Innocent people become target of the massacre and evil. Means the innocent people is always targeted by the terrorist person or the terrorism group. In the past, there were the terrorist attacks on the Parliament, Hotel Taj, right? We all know about the Hotel Taj, right? Right now also we all know about that. Mumbai share market, local train, and the Akshardham, right? It is all about the terrorism activity. Next, terrorism is a pure hatred and cruelty. Terrorism, what terrorism, student? It is the pure hatred for any nations, and it has got nothing to do with the man and religion or the languages. Means it has got nothing to do with, means they don't agree with the unity about the nation. They do only bad work for the nation. Next we have the measures for that, means what the solution we have to take for that, right? So we have to face it with the bravery and courage. We have to face the terrorism with the bravery and the courage, right? We don't have to fall down on the terrorism. The intelligence bureau of the nation should be strong and active. Means our bureau should be strong and active for the terrorism. Awareness regarding the cooperating with the security agency has to be developed. Means awareness, we have to develop our awareness, security towards the nation. People have to be very alert at the public or the crowded place. One must not pay attention to the rumors. Means we don't have to pay attention on the rumors. We have seen that in the WhatsApp we have seen the many rumors about the nation, right? But we don't have to fall into these rumors. And the panic in the times of the crisis, right? And we don't have to become in panic for the crisis time. The security force should be well equipped with the CCTV cameras and the metal detectors. And what happens, students? We have to well equip with the CCTV, right? In our school, we have the CCTV cameras. If one thing is happening in our school, that time what we do, students? We check the cameras for that things, and we find the solution of that things. Next, apart from this, various other challenges faced by the nation are the orthodoxy. Orthodoxy means the thinking of level is very low. Communalism, regionalism, discrimination based on languages, border issues, and the rehabilitations of the after natural disaster. Study this in the detail and try to know about the possible solution of this problem with the help of your teacher. Then students, we all know about the natural disaster, right? So in our in our chapter number 5, we have done the all natural disaster, that is the tsunami, flood, right? So students, in that chapter I want to give one homework, that is, please make one of the different, means one of the sorry students, okay, in your Facebook continuation of this chapter, students, write the all natural disaster definition in this chapter. Means we have the natural disaster list here: flood, famine, earthquake, tsunami, volcanic eruption, and cyclone. So for that, students, you make one of the paragraph for that and write into your Facebook. It is your homework, and you have to submit on the date 9th February. Okay, students. So please, students, make your note time to time and submit your on all peoples and submit your all homeworks on the okay. And thank you, students, for paying 100% attention to this online lectures, and thank you so much for your support. And please students, subscribe our channel and give like to our videos. And please students, it is humble request to all of you that pay 100% attention and also watch full video of any lectures. Okay. And students, about this exercise of this chapter, students, you have to write whole exercise of this chapter. And again students, you are able to find many question answers from this chapter, because it is a very natural chapter, right? We all know, we are aware with this chapter. Okay, so find it from this chapter and make more and more such question answer from this chapter, and write then the exercise of this chapter and submit on the 9th February on the application, your VDBS application. Okay, so thank you so much again students. Bye bye to all. Take care of yourself and stay at home. Okay, thank you.